Cool. Right, we're good to go.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Welcome back to Just Not Crick Pod. It is obviously a very important day in terms of a lot of things. I think everyone is coming scrabbling to the mics and talk about all things that's going maybe wrong or right in the world. And as everyone knows, we are the kind of epicenter of, I think, a lot of things in life. I think definitely politics is one. So I think we should definitely start with the breaking news that's gone on today. Um, Reece Topley and Jamie Overton are going to be in for Saki Mahmood and John Turner in the third ODI for England v West Indies today. What do you think about that? Controversial?
I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw the news. I was like, I was livid. No Sakib.
Wait, Saqib's in or Saqib's out? I
Sakib's
wasn't really
out.
paying
Sakib
attention.
is out.
Yeah,
Sakib is out. He's
it's
been voted
definitely a
out.
disgrace.
Yeah,
Um, they should stop with the Big Brother style sort of selection process where they get the audience to vote in and
exactly. Yeah,
vote off
yeah,
the
yeah.
players they don't want to see play
Especially because they
anymore.
asked everyone in America to do it as well, which felt a bit odd for an England game.
Yeah, it's weird. And like all I was seeing were like celebrities endorsing Saqib Mahmood.
Yeah, yeah. I thought we had like a good track record. I thought everyone was like really behind the hype train, but no. Jamie Overton and Reece Topley and John Turner. John Turner's done well, I think, in the last couple of games. So, out of the old and in with the old, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll come to that later. I mean, it's a series that I think not many people care about. It does sound like Jamie Overton is going to be bowling today, confirming that last time he was picked as a specialist number eight, just batting, but he's actually going to bowl today, so that is some hype news. But never
hold on.
mind,
No. We're not brushing past that. How does a bowler get selected as a specialist batsman at eight?
because he hits a few, doesn't he? And he wasn't fit enough to bowl, so they thought, oh, he'll be a good batter, and then we just chuck him in. But he's not a good enough batter to be in the top six, so then he has to bat in the lower order. But then he's not really a. It's stupid. He got 90 odd on Test debut, lest we forget, his one and only Test. But then it's not really justifying being picked as a specialist number eight. Or might it be nine? I can't remember to be honest. And he was out first ball.
It does sound quite England, to be fair. But
We love to see it, but we'll come on to that series in a little bit because I know everyone's got a lot of thoughts about it. How are you, Jamie? Even though we've all just had this discussion.
all right.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cricket season, not
yeah.
really.
I mean, it's always cricket season.
It never ends,
Uh,
and we literally would all have cricket going on whilst we're recording today, which just showcase how silly the schedule is. I thought I quite like the schedule that I just did last time with the Kumar Dharmasena stuff. In just starting with a little bit of a silly point. I did see, I couldn't find it. I was going to show you. There is a little trailer of him showcasing his perfume. I couldn't find it anywhere. Um, but maybe I'll share that on our socials a little bit later. He
I
was
don't want
absolutely
to
hype.
hear anything more unless you've bought it and have
Yeah.
partaken in it,
I can't wait. Oh, breaking news. Sorry. West Indies are going to bowl first, which is big news. Um,
which is also like really relevant when we're probably releasing it the
yeah,
day
yeah,
after the game has happened.
exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Everyone's going
you're
to be
listening to
intrigued.
the live commentary
It's
of
a
the
live
match
reaction.
after it's
People love
happened.
live reactions. It's a live reaction of a coin toss. Absolute scenes. But I don't know what they like called for. But no, so I thought I'd start with the silly point stuff in to say that let's talk about Jimmy to begin with. A cricketer that retired back in July, but been taking the headlines in the last couple of days. He's got a book coming out. Did you know?
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I was being sarcastic. He has. He's got a book coming out. Jimmy Anson, Finding the Edge. And a few excerpts have kind of been released early on. Most notably, it's been a bit about that kind of conversation when he was, kicked out, where he's likened it to a scene from Goodfellas. So he goes on a little bit about that. It has been ghostwritten by Felix White, so it's a bit more kind of, I don't know, written in a way that I wouldn't really expect Jimmy Anson to speak. But I'll read a little excerpt for you now. So he's talking about the whole retiring stuff. Um, they're going to tell me something I don't want to be told, aren't they? Something I've been swerving, darting, shape-shifting, bowling through my whole life. It's chased me for so long, I've half begun to feel it might never get to me. I almost allow myself to daydream that somehow I might be the only exception to the rule. But here it is, the career Reaper, dressed as McCullum, Stokes and Key in a Dakota hotel bar at midday in Manchester. They wouldn't choose to do this in a public bar, though, would they? Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe it's an appraisal. Or now right away, that just feels like that's not really Jimmy speak.
Mm.
I like the idea of like the career Reaper. That's a really
Yeah.
love. I like that. Um,
And it's
but then
like
he's
just three blokes in a trench
yeah,
coat.
yeah,
Reaper.
yeah. One of them, Rob Key. Um,
I think Rob Key would have to be the base of the trench coat.
yeah, I think
I
so.
think it's
Yeah,
Key, McCullum, Stokes.
yeah, yeah. And Ivan McCullough or Stokes would have like you'd have like the tattooed arms of the Reaper, whichever, or
Mm.
one
Yeah,
each maybe.
something like that.
Um,
Well, we don't know what Rob Key's arms are like. He
I
might
don't.
be
That's a good
tatted
point
up.
actually. Yeah, we'll ask him. So then he goes on to say, I haven't yet had time to lean on one eventuality or the other when words come sharply, if recitedly, out of McCullum's mouth. They are organized and rehearsed, sure and slow. We are looking to the future, he says, as the sides of the room start to blur. We don't think you're going to make it to Australia in 18 months' time, and we want to see who would be good for that series and have the time to work it out. Then Jimmy goes and say, "Oh, this isn't even going to be a negotiation. It isn't even a conversation, is it? I'm being told in italics." Um, so I mean, it will help the book sell, I think, this kind of stuff, because I think it's what people want to hear about. I mean, it's slightly, I guess, less. I guess he can't really say really. I feel what he's going to feel because I feel like Jimmy's probably going to be quite angry still about this and not wanting to still play. I think he said recently that he still probably would have to be told to be retired, but obviously he's still working with England at the moment, so he's obviously still kind of contracted.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a bit of an awkward book where it's going to be a bit, oh, just kind of just dart around it and just say what people are going to know. When really, I think people want to know how did you actually, were you like really angry about the decision, being England leading wicket taker and stuff. But I mean, it's interesting for a book. Would you read it?
I mean, I'd read the excerpt. I don't know how.
Read the whole book, Finding the
Yeah.
Edge.
Like you can get the subtext he's trying to say from his ghostwritten
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah, that's a decision he's not thought about. It's all kind of shrouding around him and stuff.
Mhm.
But I remember the whole furore and stuff when KP released his book, and that was just nonsense because obviously he was out of England contract at that point, and they just absolutely kamikazed everything with the ECB, and that was great. I love that. That was
Mhm.
brilliant reading.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's true, whether he's deluded, whatever, but that was just great. That was just wonderful. I just like that stuff. But with Jimmy still being, England through and through, I'm like, we not. I would like to know the real vibe. Like, let's dig in a bit more.
Just proper tear into them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Like,
yeah,
say they're fucking you off and you're
yeah,
fucked off.
yeah, 100%. Because I remember they reported at the time. I think this meeting went on for like a couple of hours or something. So you're not just leaving it at that. Like,
Like, how long does a why is it 2 hours long if you're
mm,
convinced this isn't a negotiation?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I'm sure he would have said his point as well. Maybe I might be like exaggerating the 2 hour point. Maybe they didn't discuss it all for the 2 hours. Maybe they talk about the next test or this last test. But I'm sure Jimmy is the kind of guy. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I just don't think he would just take it just like lying down. I think he would be like, no, what? I've just gone past 700 wickets.
Mhm.
I'm bowling as well as I'm still as fit as I ever have. Like it's 2 months still to that test. Let me prove myself. If I do well in that test, if I don't do well in that test, sure, but I would want to carry on. I feel like I can get to Australia. I think I still have issues about this decision. Maybe that's me. Um,
Like, the concept behind the idea is fine. It's
mhm.
the whole you're taking the old dog out into the back garden to shoot it, and the dog
Yeah,
doesn't have a choice when
yeah,
it should be the dog's decision
yeah,
whether they should retire or,
yeah,
in this
yeah.
metaphor, be shot.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, true. Um, yeah, it's bizarre. And also then it's just I think in context afterwards it just annoys you as well that they play, I've got nothing against Chris Wokes, stay Wokes, but Wokes ends up playing all whatever it was, 6 tests of the summer. How is that looking to the future?
Mm.
Like, you know what you're gonna get with Wokes. Axon's fine, play Potts and stuff, Josh Hull, whatever, but Wokes shouldn't really be playing the entire summer. He did all right. That's fine. Wokes is always gonna do all right, but what else are you gonna learn from it? So yeah, I mean, we love that. So Jimmy is releasing the book, which you now know. So to carry on this Jimmy segment just slightly, um, he has also put himself forward for the IPL.
This
So
I have
he is.
seen.
You've seen this,
Yeah,
yeah. Put himself up for 1.25 crore, which is, I think, about 100 grand. Um, why not?
yeah.
Like Dhoni is still playing. Like, and I know Dhoni was always going to be a million times better T20 player than Jimmy was, but I would take some Jimmy nonsense. He's not played a T20, I think, since 2014.
Mhm.
So I think this is just like funny.
Yeah, it's just a uh, fuck it, I'll try and get
Yeah.
some money in India.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I've not really got much to say about it. I just thought it
It,
was a bit of a silly point. It's fun.
it's
It's
yeah,
silly.
the like auctioning himself off to the IPL is just funny.
Yeah.
Like you've
Yeah.
not played a T20 in 10 years.
Yeah. It'll
But
be 11
yeah,
years by the time this point.
yeah.
I love it. Good luck to him. Yeah, I wonder what kind of colors it'd be in. I'd like to see him in like I think Chennai would be a good fit, the yellow, during Dhoni's stuff. I think that'd be a vibe. Um,
Who's the
but we'll
like
see.
dark blue with the gold trim? Is the king?
Uh, there is, I mean, Lucknow are bluish. Mumbai Indians are blue. I honestly, I don't know properly off the top of my head.
Mm.
I know Rajasthan Royals are the pink ones. Um,
No, I'm sold.
yeah,
Rajasthan Royals with
yeah,
Kenny in the pink. Yeah, right,
he's
go for it.
in. Well, Rajasthan Royals didn't retain Butler, which I think is a bit of a weird decision. So they could just, sign Jimmy
Yeah,
instead.
like for like.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. But I mean, just to follow on my final point of my silly points is that cricket book not autograph, autobiography books. I think are just, I mean, I guess the same in all sports, but I just find them bizarre and silly at the titles they choose. Like Jimmy's Finding the Edge I think that's fine, but I feel like it could have been a bit better for Jimmy.
It's
I don't know.
it's just kind of standard autobiography.
Yeah,
It's the cricket pun.
yeah,
Without
yeah,
everyone will maybe know. Who cares?
yeah, yeah. Like it would be that or be like, you know, nipping in or something like that. It would just like, yeah, having a wobble. Um, so I thought I'd have a look at some older cricket autobiography titles. Um, and we'll bring that back like if you like it, you say, how's that? Or if not, we don't say anything. Um, so
It's going
the
to be a
first
really good segment for an
it is
audio meeting.
it's great. Or just be like a
Uh,
So, and also if you can try and guess who the author is. I mean, there's no way of ever knowing, but let's just see if we
sure.
do it. So the first, that's maybe better. Um, yeah, how's that if you just like it, and then also, and then if not, just tell me who the thing is. So at the close of play, who do you reckon that is? At the close of play,
That sounds like an umpire autobiography.
it's not an umpire.
Oh, cool. Well, then, how the fuck would anyone know?
Well, if I'll give you the first line from the synopsis.
Cool.
So, love him or loathe him, redacted, is one of the biggest names in cricket, having been at the heart of so many memorable Ashes and Test encounters over the years.
I'm going to assume Peterson then, based off the love him or loathe him.
It's Ricky Ponting.
Sure.
We're gonna find one that actually relates to the person, definitely. Next one. Ready?
No.
Drive
Yeah.
driving ambition.
Okay, who was good at driving? Such a. Um, I'm
But
gonna.
it's awful. It's an awful title, and it kind of awkwardly kind of not as an awful person, but it does kind of sum him up. I think it's that kind of vibe of a title. I think that you would have gone for. Sorry, gone.
I think a reasonable guess would be Freddie because
Mm,
it ties into the Top Gear stuff
yeah,
and
that
it's
makes
Crash,
sense.
and but it's not Freddie. I know it's not Freddie
No,
because it doesn't make any sense. Uh, Ian Bell.
no, Andrew Strauss.
Oh, sure. Just yeah.
Just boring. Nothing says nothing. Um,
That's very Strauss, though.
it is exactly, but now you know it's like perfect. That is Strauss. Um, next one. The gloves are off. Now that's a clue.
I mean, it should be a clue. It should be Wicketkeeper, but seeing as every batsman has to wear gloves, uh, uh, like you
It is a
still,
keeper.
well, okay, Pryor.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
cool.
gloves are off. Rated 3.8 out of 5.
That's wrong. It's not. There is no
Um,
way anyone is giving a Matt Pryor autobiography more than I do.
it is
I am shocked
£3.55
anyone's
or
read it.
£3.24 paperback, 83 ratings. Oh God, I really want to know. This is just like turning into nonsense. What's the bad reviews? I can't. I'm not going. I'm not going to
Honest,
delve into that rabbit hole.
I think this is just what the pod should be.
I'm loving it. Maybe not
Yeah.
the listeners. I've got two more just to round this up. Time to declare.
Oh, oh, there's there's no fucking clue or hint. It's just here's a
Well,
cricket
time to
term.
declare would I would
It
in
would imply a captain.
yeah.
Um, it's not Ricky Ponting unless he's got
No.
two out. Uh,
Okay.
I'm going if I'm feeling Ashes or NASA. I don't think either of those would have had a
No.
high enough England score for them to go, yeah, let's declare.
Yeah, true.
Um, I don't know that I'm both of them because why not? I don't.
My, Michael Vaughan. And then prefix is an honest account from one of cricket's most influential cricketers. I'd say that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then the final one, I think it's probably my favorite one of all time. Um, the hard yards.
That that's so stupid. At least the others are tangentially cricket puns. That's that's like that should be like a running athlete's autobiography title. What? Um, based on it being complete and utter nonsense, Monty.
No, Michael Yardy.
Why does Michael Yardy have a fucking autobiography? Like, all due respect to him, he's like he would have had to be a decent cricketer because he's playing at that level. But who the fuck is interested in reading about Michael Yardy's? I don't. Come on.
Yeah,
If no one's interested in Matt Pryor's autobiography, then honestly, if this is a higher rated one than Matt
it
Pryor's, of
is.
course it is.
I think in credit to Michael Yardy, he obviously went through a lot of difficulties following World Cups with mental illness and things like that. I
Mhm.
think this his book talks a lot about that, which I guess is more. I think I would say this book, as much as Michael Yardy is, of I have no real memory of him at all as a cricketer, but like his book is like the highs and lows of life in cricket, which I think is probably. If you're talking about mental health and actually being more vocalized, but that's probably a decent book. But the fact that like, calling it the hard yards and you're talking like as if Michael Yardy is a cell, like
Oh, I kind of okay. The hard yard.
hard yards, yardy, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's shit though.
So what was your favorite out of those, if we have to round it up?
If I had to be honest, I've
Yeah.
forgotten most of them.
And that's a good way to then talk into cricket that we've probably forgotten about. Um, so we lasted our pod halfway through the second test between England and Pakistan, where the series was very much alive. I think we were talking about it. It was a really good second test, but I still think it was. Um, Fast forward, whatever it is, a couple of weeks, England lost that series quite
Mhm.
badly.
Mhm.
A second test, they lost by 152 runs. And then the second test, they lost by an innings and 47 run. No, that's the wrong one. They lost by 9 wickets. Um, I guess we won't go into too much detail because this happened, a few weeks ago, and everyone's moved on with their lives. But what is your overall vibe and feeling of this series?
Start good, everything else
Mm.
bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in a nutshell. like just looking at the stats here, the fact that Harry Brooks scored 300 in that first game, but then didn't manage to score over 400 runs in the series, kind of tells you how badly it all went for England
Yeah.
after that first game. Um,
And it's not
there's yeah,
like an uncommon thing. Like the
yeah,
anomaly is the first result.
yeah,
The second and third tests are just classic England in thinner conditions.
yeah,
And it's never made sense. Like the Pakistan team also have to play in those conditions, and
yeah,
England have decent enough spinners to cause them trouble and to like really turn the ball. Yet it's always England that are collapsing into fucking obscurity and memes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was the nonsense that they were doing to the pitches to try and get them more spin friendly and more chaotic was crazy at times. And Noman Ali and Sajid Khan coming in and just suddenly becoming, the next kind of Warner Muraliferin was just nonsense. Um, but like, I guess you can say, I think everyone's talked about it, but it is the sense that that is the finding out of Bazball, I think this year especially. Um, those last four tests in India where it spun a lot, and then these two tests in Pakistan where it spun a lot, and then suddenly the ball is doing a lot. And I think Cook was also quite critical in one of his press things, saying, they're turning into flat track bullies and stuff. Like it's sure that the achievements they have when it's flat and they're whacking it all over the place is great, but then when it's swinging or spinning a lot, if you've not got the answers, are you going to be a great side? Um,
I
and you
think
say that, go
Boycott
on,
said something similar as well
mm,
about England being flat track bullies. But like
yeah.
the point where I would push back on that is
Mm.
good because England have been the flat track bullied.
Yeah,
Like at
yeah,
least
true.
they're in a position where they can do well on those surfaces now.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. True, true, true. Um, yeah, just sense. I think the sense that there is just no adapting, and I think there was so much chat in the summer being like, oh, maybe they've reined back basketball a bit. Um, but then I don't know, it just felt like they had no answers for what they were doing in this stuff. But
like there was
yeah, I
a
mean, no,
couple of dismissals. I think Crawley and Jamie Smith had like two where
maybe.
they just ran down the pitch and completely
Yeah, okay,
dusted.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
those are the fastballiest of dismissals because you want to be aggressive. You want to
yeah,
like hit the spinner back over the head or whatever and show them who's in charge. And you
yeah,
completely just you're being made a fool of by doing.
yeah. There was that obviously that almost iconic one at I think at the end of the second test when Stokes was out. He was charging down the wicket and completely missed it, and then he flung his bat to about Mars or something,
Mhm.
um, and then was just stranded in the middle of the wicket where he got stumped. Um,
And then he went on to have an even worse dismissal
yeah,
where he left a ball
just
that
left a straight one.
bad
Yeah,
in it. Like
yeah, he's had a bit of a mare. I mean, I saw a lot of chatter being like, oh, Stokes hasn't done anything. He's just a passenger in his side, blah 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 blah. But Stokes was injured for most of that summer just gone, and he has just come back into these first two tests where it's been spinning a lot. He didn't have the luxury of coming in the first test where it's flat and having a bit more of an iron and batting around and stuff. And he has just come into a test of no cricket on challenging conditions. So I mean, I would give him a benefit of a slight pass, but he is a more experienced player that he should be performing more. I mean, that second test, he just didn't really do anything.
I would also say it's maybe on him to have given himself more time to
Yeah,
get some cricket into his body before
yeah,
like
yeah,
jumping into really hard pitches.
yeah. Like if he wasn't fit for that first test, are you going to be in a state where you're going to be ready at all for that series? Because there's such quick turnaround. Um,
Like honestly, just bring the lines along and like use that as a place where you can put your
yeah,
England players in and
yeah,
like get them up to match fitness, and then he could have played in the third game. But
yeah.
whatever.
Potential. Who knows? But yeah, there's a lot more questions and answers, I think, from this series coming along. I think the biggest one for me, I think we spoke about him last time, so obviously I've got a vendetta, let's be honest.
Mhm,
Ollie Pope
mhm.
looked completely just gone.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't see anything in that series from Pope that gave me any confidence at all in him as a test number three. Just to give you his scores. First test, when England scored 800, he got naught. Second test 29-22, last test 3-1. Um, and his average has now slipped to 33 in tests, just shy of 3,000 runs. Um, they'll persevere with him because they've obviously picked their squad for New Zealand, which we'll get to in a sec. Um, but you'd think surely even this ultra positive, happy-go-lucky, will back you to whatever squad gets to a point where you look at a player and it's like, is this doing more detriment to you by still playing
Mhm.
than, giving you a rest or breakaway? Like all the best players have had the break. Like Root was dropped and came back famously pretty well. Um, Babar Azam has just been dropped from Pakistan, one of the biggest players in Pakistan. Um, like I don't think it's a bad thing to take time away and just rediscover your game a bit. Um, I think we talked about this last time, but yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think part of the reason why they are reluctant to not to drop him is because
Mhm.
he's vice captain,
Yeah,
and then they have to make a decision on who's vice captain.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't think that is a very obvious choice.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I
Like,
think you'd
yeah,
basically be kind of Root is the obvious vice, but I don't think you'd want to go to Root after Root having been
yeah. I think
been
it'd be Brook or Crawley, really. I
yeah,
think.
and like
Yeah,
Crawley being vice doesn't fill me with any confidence.
yeah,
I think it would be a nice idea for Brooke to have that
yeah.
role.
I think Brook.
He's
For
gonna
me, I said this
build
before.
him
I think
up.
Brook is.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah. I think he had a good. Brook had a good, successful kind of ODI series as captain as well. I thought against Australia,
mhm,
even though he didn't win the series, but by about 4 balls because of rain. But I thought he did really well and had good maturity and got runs and stuff when it mattered. I thought, yeah. I mean, Brook and Pope, I just think are just so at odds in terms of players of where they are, especially. Like I know Brook failed in the last two tests, but there's a test match player there, and I can see one. Whilst Pope is just when he starts, is just so frenetic. He just changes his stuff all the time, his stance and things. He's moving over, he's crouching. I I just struggle to see him as a test player, even as test number three.
yeah.
Um,
Like I was looking through all of his dismissals for the series
mm,
because I'm really fucking sad and didn't have anything else to do. But like there were a few like there, his first dismissal was like there was a really good catch. The next one
yeah,
like, is a really good ball from Sajid.
yeah,
It's like he's doing something wrong in each of those
yeah, yeah, yeah,
circumstances. Like his first wicket, especially, like, he's pulling it off kind of mid-rip to try and hook it.
yeah,
Like guys, like just leave it, mate.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. Um, he has a strange habit of making, decent enough balls look like great
Mhm,
or unplayable. He gets into such weird positions. Like, I think that ball you talk about from Sajid, I think he gets into such a weird position where I don't really know what kind of shot he's trying to play. I think I'm remembering the right one, but it's that he gets kind of bowled off stump. And he's kind of weirdly trying to open the face, and I can't remember. Yeah, it was one specifically like that where it's just sort of like you're batting in such an awkward way that you're making this dismissal look unplayable. Um, but it's so because he's got three test hundreds this summer or just this year, and I think the stat was, you don't listen to our podcast for definite stats, but the vague stat is that I think he's got the lowest average of anyone who's ever scored three test hundreds in a year. Um, and obviously there was that brilliant hundred in India, which again is fantastic. But then I just look at that innings and be like, how on earth have you played that innings? And then you come to Pakistan in similar conditions and similar wickets, and then suddenly you'd be like, what's spin?
mhm.
I don't know. It's yeah. That's why I just feel like his brain or batting brain is just frazzled and just needs that kind of time just to rediscover the game. Enjoy the game again. Um, I don't think being captain helped. I guess that's an easy criticism, but
Yeah,
that's an extra
ironically,
responsibility.
and ironically, he won that match.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but I think we talked about Pope quite a lot. Um, I think also bowlers as well was a bit all over the place in the series. Bryden Castle, I think, had a very good series. I think I've touted him from when we first started doing the pod, so I will take at least 25% of that kind of recognition for Castle's performance. Um, yeah, so I think Castle's a standout, bowled really well, decent enough with the bat. Leach had a really good return, 16 wickets in the series, just consistent, reliable. But Bashir didn't do an awful lot. He had a
No.
decent second test where he got a few wickets. Um, I think Potts bowled really well in the second game, but only played that one innings, or played that one test. Duckett got a decent 100. There's a lot of like little bits you'd be like, oh, that was all right.
Mhm.
That was kind of decent. But then it's overall that doesn't win you, a series like, Noman Ali playing two tests and got 20 wickets in two games, and Sajid Khan got 19 wickets in two games. They're the match winners.
Mhm.
And, quite obviously they're now on the winning side. Weird series.
Yeah, like I remember us saying how it was kind of weird that they dropped Baba and Shaheen
Hmm.
and someone else, and we're like, oh, maybe it's something political
Yeah.
going on, and like maybe it was. I It's Pakistan, it probably is,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they did also make the right changes for them to win the next two games.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that second test was the same pitch as the first test. Like
It was. Yeah.
they clearly were like, it's obviously going to spin now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to spin at some point. Yeah.
they brought in extra spinners. England didn't,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
showed. And by the time that
Yeah.
England needed an extra spinner in the third test, like Bashir clearly wasn't either in form or like in any rhythm, and
Yeah.
it's
Wasn't that
kind of
races?
hard to just like chuck Rian Ahmed in and like
Yeah.
help.
He got four for, I think, Ryan, in that third game, I
Yeah.
think. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, you're right. I agree. It's just odd. I mean, well done, Pakistan. I mean, hardly spoke about them
Yeah.
doing well, but Noman Ali, blah, blah, blah. Um,
Fucking love Sajid, his celebration.
Sadiq, brilliant. That's what you just want in tests. It's
Yeah,
just great. Fantastic. This completely in your face nonsense.
like
Brilliant.
that's going to annoy the batsman so much more than getting in their face.
Yeah,
Like do a
yeah.
stupid celebration and
I love it. And then the fact that everyone in the crowd started doing it as well was just
yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, I just, I love to see it. So I hope, wish them the best. They're currently in now a white ball series against Australia. They lost the first game, but Australia only won by 2 wickets. So good luck to Pakistan. Why not? So moving on for the England woes, they've announced their squad for the New Zealand series, which I guess we'll just touch on very, very briefly. Um, Same squad, except Jamie Smith is missing it because of paternity leave. And as is the England way. So when you're missing out on a keeper batsman, you're going to replace him by calling up a bowling all-rounder.
Mhm.
So Jacob Bethel is being called up as the batting cover. Um, I, I don't know what to say.
This is why Pope is in the team. This is what he's in the team for. It's
Yeah,
the backup to everyone. He's backup
yeah,
captain. He's backup opener. He's backup
yeah,
wicketkeeper.
yeah.
He's backup Baz. I don't know.
Could be coach
Yeah.
next. Just weird. It's just weird. Like, so Jordan Cox is going to keep, who's not really a frontline keeper again, a bit like Jamie Smith. But I mean, he played an innings yesterday or the day before, wherever we are, in the second ODI against West Indies. I think he got like two or three of about 19 balls, and he just looked completely all at sea. Um, so it doesn't fill me with best confidence. But again, I did tout him at the beginning of the summer being he's one to watch. I think on his day he's a very good player. But whether he can translate that to Test cricket is very different. I just think they completely missed a trick by not calling up a Ollie Robinson, the keeper, or England might call up the bowler, or a James Rue from Somerset as keeper options. I just find it just it this the clique, this
Mhm.
cliquey environment of like whose face fits regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
And Jacob Bethel, I think, will be a very good England player. He got a 50 the other day in the ODI. I think he looks really accomplished. Um, if he was in the squad in place of Pope, I'd probably be like, yeah, sure, why
Mhm.
not? But you're replacing a keeper. There are other keepers. I think Ollie Robinson, in my opinion, should have played the first test of summer. I was wrong. Jamie Smith's been very, very good and should be the first choice keeper now. But Ollie Robinson had a brilliant season for Durham. James Rowe had a brilliant season for Somerset. There are other keeping options who are, in their mid-20s. Just because they don't, maybe whack sixes all over the place or they haven't made their pedigree in T20 cricket doesn't mean they'll not be good test players. I'm getting a bit fed up.
Yeah. Uh, Ben Folks just in shambles.
Jamie Smith, good. That's my opinion. Jacob Bethel shouldn't be keeper replacement. Bad. Um,
And now we don't have to edit it.
exactly. No editing needed. Um, just very quickly on England before we move on, because I know we've talked a lot about autobiographies. They announced the central contracts last week. In case you're interested in that kind of gear. Um,
Famously,
all
like autobiographies.
yeah. So, in terms of the 2 year contracts, you've got Gus Atkinson, Harry Brook, Joss Butler, which is interesting. Joe Root, Jamie Smith, Ben Stokes, Mark Wood. I think a lot of consensus was maybe Butler might go off into the franchise horizon, but if he's done 2 years, that's obviously quite committed to England. 1 year contracts, Rayan Ahmed, Jofra Archer, Johnny Bairstow, Shoaib Bashir, Bryden Cass, Zach Crawley, Sam Curran, Ben Duckett, Will Jacks, Jack Leach, Liam Livingston, Ollie Pope, Matt Potts, Adil Rashid, Phil Salt, Ollie Stone, Josh Tung, Reece Topley, Chris Wokes, and then developmental contracts with Jacob Bethel, John Turner, and Josh Hull. I saw you look quizzical at Johnny Bairstow. Thoughts?
I would, I think a lot of that is deserves a quizzical look.
Yeah,
All of this talk of looking to the future, and they're only giving a lot of the younger players 1 year contract.
yeah,
Like, oh, if we're not happy with you in a year, fuck you off.
yeah, pretty
What about
much.
we took Jimmy out to the back garden? We'll do the same to you as well.
Yeah. It does feel like that. And especially Wokes as well, only getting one. It's like, well, if he's playing this summer, then sure, aren't you not touting him for the Ashes? One is like, we'll see how it goes, you know?
Mm.
But weird. But Johnny Bairstow being in there is just, I mean, I think he was on a 2 year one last year. So maybe it's contractual that he has to be in it still, or it'd be too much money to get rid of him off it. Maybe they generally feel like he might come back in the white ball setup. Don't know. Just feels a bit weird. Um, but that's about it, I think, for the contract chat. Um, I think the most people talking about this mostly. This is the most important thing. New Zealand 3, India nil. Thoughts?
Funny, good,
Lol.
happy. Yeah, that sums it up. I'm,
That is about it.
yeah,
Um, I did put in my notes. My main notes for this was lol. Um, as I think should be as is my right. But it is just funny. It's just nonsense.
yeah,
It's absolute nonsense. That is probably. I mean, I think it's got a lot of chat about this in the last few days, but I think it is up there with one of the best or greatest achievements in Test cricket. Like,
yeah. It's like, yeah, I think so.
I don't think that's understating it. This is a New Zealand team that I think it's in Bangladesh. I think they lost to Bangladesh. I maybe again we're not the facts show.
Yeah, I feel like they had a. There's been a couple of bad tours in like the Indian subcontinent. It might have been Bangladesh and Sri Lanka.
Mm.
I'm not sure
I
they
can
lost both
confirm.
of them, but I
They where even are we? They definitely because I where are we? What we did? So they won that. Yeah, Sri Lanka. So they lost that series 2-0 in September. That's when Tim Southee was captain. And they got absolutely trumped in the second game. So Sri Lanka got 602, and then New Zealand were at 88 all out, and then 360 all out, losing by an innings and 154 runs. And then following that, to then go on to win in India
Mhm.
3-0, it's nonsense. So it's
and
new
what
captain Tom Latham,
yeah, and what to like bowl them out for like 46.
46 in that first test.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking
mad.
ridiculous.
And that was that green seamer wicket, and then India do what they tend to do, like England would tend to do, make a lot more kind of spin friendly wickets the next 2 games, and then that kind of blows up in their face. And I've seen a lot written about how creating spin friendly wickets then brings the other team more into the game with their not necessarily frontline spinners. Like Mitchell Santner, I think is a very good cricketer, but he went absolutely balmy in those first couple of games. They're getting absolute wickets galore. Second test at least, spinning New Zealand to victory. Then Ajaz Patel getting 11 wickets in the final test. Looked unplayable at times, and then completely out bowling. So even Glenn Phillips as well, who's just a part-time offie, then also offering up Ravindra, like all these little spinners who are decent. But then India, you've got Jadeja and you've got Ashwin, who are. the best spinners in the world, bar Nathan Lyon. And, in New Zealand are out bowling them. Um, and New Zealand didn't have Kane Williamson all series, which is again another massive
Yeah.
thing. So Will Young had to come in, who's had his kind of ins and outs in the New Zealand team, ends up being player of the series with a couple of 50s. Um, but yeah, I mean, India shouldn't even got close in that last innings. They were 29 for 5, chasing about 150. It was only Pant who got 64 or 57, got them anywhere close. Ajaz Patel ending up 657 in that last game. Again, Glenn Phillips threw 42, just literally a part time. Um, it's just balmy. So
Yeah.
New Zealand, very good. GG, well done, New Zealand, the
Yeah.
best. The funny thing is this the end for India's team and their kind of vibe in cricket? Is is this the end of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, etc.? Do you reckon the year is over?
I think it's at least the beginning of the end for Rohit's captaincy.
Hmm.
Like I was looking through a few stats for the series, and he is the second highest Indian captain with home defeats in Test matches now,
Yeah.
and
Well,
three of them in like back to back.
yeah. 3-0 at home is
Yeah,
any team,
yeah. First
mad.
India whitewash in India,
Yeah. Huge.
ridiculous. Like you have to look up the captaincy and the leadership when that happened.
Hmm. Well, they also recently changed coach, so Dravid ended at the end of the T20 World Cup, I think. So it's now Gautam Gambhir. Um, so he's made a good start. Um,
Keep them on.
yeah, funny. Um, Cody's the interesting one as well. Again, we don't have stats in this show,
Mm.
but I've seen a lot of chat about his stats since about 2020 and how he's just kind of completely fallen off. I think he was on about 2700s. Again, people are going to hate me for not knowing these exact facts, but I think he's on about 27 test hundreds, I think, in 2020, something like that. But now he only has 29. He's only got a couple in those recent years, averaging 30s, nothing spectacular. But still lauded as one of the best players. I mean, I think, an icon of the game, and so recognizable with Virat Kohli and massive in India and massive across the world. But, it is waning. It's what's he done in tests recently? I can't think of a Virat Kohli test innings that's just completely taken the
Mm.
cricket world by storm, whatever. You look at Root for an example, how Root has just completely just leapfrogged Kohli and then some in terms of his runs scored and hundreds and match winning innings and stuff. And I don't know, I feel like how long can Kohli carry on not performing? I mean, he'll play as long as he wants to play because it's Virat, but he's getting out. He's just getting out all the time in to basically part-time spinners. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is this? Yeah,
it might be a format thing where you've
maybe.
played so much white ball that like you don't have the same sort of mentality going to the test matches.
Yeah,
And like I would assume it's difficult to sort of like switch that sort of charisma, if you know what I mean. Like you need that sort of swagger to the white ball
yeah,
game. And Kohli definitely still has that swagger
yeah,
in the T20s and the ODI. But
yeah,
like does he even have like the capacity to do that in the test matches? And is that because of the longer
yeah.
format, which is an issue in itself? But
Mm. But he was obviously captain of the Test team not that long ago. It was the 2018, wasn't it? Tour 2018. Where are we? No, 2021. He was captain. When he toured England, and they probably would have won that series if they had played the final Test the same year. But it's obviously cancelled due to COVID. And then Rowett took over. I don't really know why. I can't remember why. I can't remember if Cody gave it up or whether it was the form thing, he wanted to concentrate on batting or whatever. I think he just stepped down from being captain overall. But that team, that kind of Ravi Sastry, Kohli kind of vibe, that was just huge. And that was just complete Kohli energy. You could tell he just completely run that team. It was all his vibe. Maybe him not being captain and still with the same players is just not quite gelling with him. I don't know. It just. Yeah, it feels a bit like when Ponting came towards the end of his career. Like Ponting, an absolute great of the game, brilliant, but then the last couple of years just wasn't scoring the runs, just looked a bit of a shade of his old self. And I just think that maybe that's the case with Virat as well. Still a great player, and like a couple of years ago had absolutely brilliant T20 game against Pakistan when he won that on his own, and iconic. But time up maybe soon. Weird, and we'll see.
I mean, it happens to every batsman. It's just
Yeah,
how that batsman handles that. The going with like just like Cook is
yeah,
a really good example of he could have still played for a
yeah,
few more years, but he decided. I mean, I don't know what his reasons were, but he's obviously going to get jaded by being the England
yeah,
captain for so long and the opening batsman,
yeah.
and he ended on a really good score. And like, you don't really taint your
No,
legacy by doing that. And I'm not
no, not at
saying
all.
Kohli will at all because he's just that revered in India, and I
Yeah,
think by like international cricket fans anyway. I don't think he's going to taint his legacy at all,
no, not at all.
but it will sort of mold the conversation around like the best batsman of all time, where currently he's in the conversation, but if this form goes on for a bit longer, maybe he won't be.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's he's one of the best players I think I've seen
Yeah,
play because it went at his absolute height, and what he's done for cricket and Test cricket as well. I think is really, really just can't be understated. Um, but we'll see. It's moving on. Their next the next game is pretty tasty. What's the word? The spicy. They're going to Australia next.
mm, no,
So it's them losing 3-0 has completely scuppered their chances of the Test Championship final. They all need to win 4-0 in Australia, which would be fun to watch, but I can't see that happening. Um, whilst Australia are pretty much there, I think they just need to win a couple of. I think they need to win 4 out of their 7 last tests, and 2 of those are against Sri Lanka, I believe. New Zealand need to win they need to win 3-0 against England, and then hope for other results. Um, South Africa, if they win their games, I think it's against Sri Lanka and maybe West Indies at home. They'll be in there, so South Africa have got a really good chance. Um, so we'll see.
no,
We'll see. I mean, I get a vibe. I mean, I'm just reading up that I think Sharma may be absent for the first test or so in Australia. I'm not sure why, but that's also another kind of thorn in the side if Sharma's not going to be there, or maybe it'd be a good thing if potentially some fresher captain, a fresher face. Um, so I guess a vibe or just vague, and we love our stats. How do you see that series going as a prediction, just out of nothing?
uh, based on absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
I kind of see them getting at least one win now. I don't. You always,
India.
yeah, I think you kind of always see some sort of fight back if a team has a really bad series.
Yeah,
They'll want to prove themselves again. I think they'll. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that they win the first test and like get
yeah,
themselves up and then lose 3-1.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's my prediction.
I really wouldn't be shocked that India win this series after being trounced by New Zealand.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I think it'll be a good series. I think it's a massive. You just talked about Virat for ages, but I think it's a massive series of Virat. I think if he really wants longevity, is have a bit more longevity in the Test game, then I think this is a massive series for that. They're going to miss Mohamed Shami, which is a big loss. They've got to choose between obviously Jadeja and Washington Sundar and Ashwin for their spinner. They're still a very good side. Having Pant back is great. Just great for cricket in general. Jaiswal's a good player. Australia have also got problems because they don't have Cameron Green, but I think all their fast bowlers are fit. Nathan Lyon's fit. So we'll see. Interested to see how it goes. So all to play for in the Test Championship. No one knows how it works,
yeah.
but I think Australia are basically there. India have to win crazily, and then if they don't have to, well, India have to win 4-0, and then don't worry about other results. But I think they can maybe lose a game, or lose the series potentially, but if all other results go particularly away and get through, it's such a stupid system. Why is it done on like average win percentage? Oh, I hate it.
But it's so difficult to work it out just looking at the table because I think it
Yeah,
has England's points on like I don't know 91. They've not taken away England's deduction
yeah,
from the table, so they're like sitting fifth or sixth with higher
yeah,
points than three or four teams above them.
yeah.
But
But the
because
win
they've been
percentage,
deducted points and the win percentage is weird, like it doesn't make
no,
visual sense.
no, it's not cohesive at all. It's nonsense. I hate it. It's the worst thing. But yeah, so we'll see who gets in that final of that Lord next summer. It'll be fun. Yeah, I've not really got much more to say about the India, New Zealand stuff. It was just funny.
Yeah,
Um,
lol.
and I don't think I've got there's other cricket stuff going on. England West Indies going on at the moment. Livingston got a good 100. That's kind of all I've got to say on that. Sam Curran batting at six is, a decision. That's a choice. Jacob Bethel's done well. Phil Salt is in it. It's I don't know why this series. I just miss the series that happened when you have the Test series and the White Ball series. I think that makes much more interesting vibes. You have the kind of longer tours, but oh well, who cares?
Yeah,
Um,
like at least with the test matches, I know like even with the weird system for the World Test Championship, it feels like the test matches always have something to play for.
yeah,
When these like post test series white ball games, like obviously they're like there are some points for qualifying for the World Cup and stuff, but like
yeah.
do they
Just
actually
don't care.
matter beyond that? Like,
Yeah, especially when it's like a literal C team for England and stuff like that. Um, but oh well, I'm looking forward to the tests, as is the vibe. But yeah, currently England are 14 for two, so that's going to make fantastic viewing. Um, right, so that's our cricket chat done, I think.
yeah,
Have you got a silly point for today or no silly points? Not silly points, just not correct.
and not crick. I
Yeah.
mean, I would be remiss, especially after our last not crick, of speaking about a manager into a new job without mentioning Manchester United's managerial
United. Yeah.
game with Eric Ten Hag having been sacked at this point last Monday, and
Mm.
then in what seems like 5 minutes later, Ruben Amorim was appointed.
Yeah.
Um, like I say, I would be remiss not to mention it,
Sure.
but I
Stage is yours.
also, yeah, but the discourse, I'm kind of over it.
Sure.
Like there's been so much talk, and because it's United, there's the amount of talk you'd expect for a new manager of a big team is
Yeah.
magnified even more.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
I guess I want you to think of some stupid, weird points to throw at me. So we're not just talking about, oh, what 11 is Ruben Amorim gonna
Uh,
do?
uh,
Why did Ten Hag get sacked? Was it because he
uh,
quit and lost his men, his capacity to do sane things?
do
And
you think I've got a genuine question.
sure,
I don't know do you think that it's as simple as do you think the players were throwing him under the bus at the end? Do you
I
think that's
don't,
a vibe?
I don't think they ever were.
No.
I
I
think,
yeah.
no, they seem to always be playing for him. You could see it after the FA Cup final, how much
Hmm.
winning that meant for them,
Hmm.
to him. Like, you could see the camaraderie there.
Yeah.
The issue, it's weird. When he first came in, the first two games we lost, we were poor. He could, Ten Hag, that is, could see De Gea can't play his system, so we're going to be a bit
Hmm.
more pragmatic. And we did well in that season. We finished third, we got the League Cup.
Yeah.
We beat Barcelona, who at that time were probably the most informed team in the world.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that was with Wout fucking Weghorst as a 10. Um, we sort of trailed off towards the end of the season, and then we had whatever abysmal season of utter
Yeah.
garbage happened last season that
Yeah.
ended in an FA Cup trophy.
Yeah. Of course it did.
But like, yeah, I didn't see the players phoning it in. They were still sticking to his tactic.
Yeah,
There weren't like you're not going to know everything that goes on behind the scenes. But
yeah. Are you excited about, is it Amarin?
mhm,
Amarin?
yeah,
Amaran?
Ruben Amorim.
Because obviously
Um,
they thrashed City last night, which is the headline stuff.
yeah, I don't think it's an understatement to say or an exaggeration that Sporting beating City 4-1 is Manchester United's best result this season.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 exactly.
Um, excited, I don't know
Yeah.
because we've been here before and it's like,
Yeah. It's just that kind of like rinse and repeat, isn't it?
mhm. Yeah, I think last pod I was speaking about like Tuchel, Xavi, and Allegri as like free agent managers.
Yeah.
That would be the obvious pick, but obviously Tuchel.
Went to England.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were speaking about Tuchel as England manager in that
Yeah.
context. Like I was never thinking of managers in a job,
No.
especially not Nagelsmann, because
No.
he signed a new contract and
Yeah.
there's a World Cup in a couple of years. You're not going to get him now.
No.
And like Amorim didn't even come into my thoughts because he turned down, I think it was Liverpool and West Ham
Yeah.
season, and had come out and said, "I won't leave the team in the before the season's over because
Yeah.
it just feels wrong." And then, like obviously now he's done that,
Yeah.
which makes me feel good because like it's United. That's the pull United have.
Well, I saw the fact that he had to make the choice between
Yeah,
he wanted to stay to the end, he wanted to stay at Sporting to the end of the season, didn't he? And then he wanted to come on. But
yeah,
then United were like, nah,
yeah. I think yeah, I don't think there was a wrong
no,
side in all of that. I think it's fair
no,
that he wanted to stay for the rest of the season.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
fair
yeah,
that United wanted him now.
yeah,
I think obviously his priorities were shown in that he chose to come now. Like it's he won't get this chance again. Or he was told that, and great, I'm all for it.
We'll see how it goes. My dog's just decided to bark at the door, so that's she agrees.
Like,
Um, but then it'll be a good vibe because I think Tottenham have United in League Cup.
mhm,
Is it
yeah,
quarterfinal? I don't know what leagues it is.
I think it's the quarterfinal.
Something like that. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, we can react to that on the pod. But yeah, we'll see how he goes. Amarin, what's the pun? Really good. I don't know. I can't do puns. You're the pun person. What's the pun for Amarin?
Just not Crick Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, podcast,
Aaron,
please.
tell us your favorite Ten Hag moment.
Oh, me right now.
Yeah,
Um, beating Manchester City in the FA Cup final
good memes.
after having literally the most abysmal. Just imagine how if there's anything you've done so utterly shite
Yeah,
in your life
yeah,
that you're like that you don't want to like get out of bed, you don't want to fucking eat, and then like at the end of the year, you're doing that thing
yeah,
with like probably the person who's the best at that thing in the world,
yeah,
and then you do it better than them, and they're your next door neighbor that is just a bit of a cunt.
yeah. Weird.
It feels really good.
Yeah, defies all logic. But good times.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ten Hag. You've
yeah,
got the book, haven't you?
I
Our
have.
mutual friend gave you the book, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I made sure to read that before we got back.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, that was I was reading that last season, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that in early.
Oh, bless him. Good old Ten Hag. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have more Manchester United discussions going on because I'm sure that the drama will always continue. So we'll cover that again at some point, I'd imagine. Um, and then we'll talk about cricket as well, I imagine. I don't know when we'll do the next one. Maybe we'll do a preview for New Zealand again. I feel like we've already previewed it, but there might be some interesting cricket that happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Jimmy might be sold in the auction by then.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We might have his book by then. But yeah, I think you've told everyone where they can listen to us,
Yeah.
where they can find us. Just not CrickPod everywhere. Um, and yeah, if you want to tell us your favorite autobiography of a cricket book, let us know. Hard Yard is going to win it for me. But otherwise, we'll see you in the not too distant future, maybe,
I'm trying to think of a autobiography title. Um, yeah,
but
cricket.
just not cricket.
Yeah,
Just, just,
just it's just not off. I don't know.
yeah, we'll work on it. That'll be the title of the next one. Who knows? Right.
It's just way on. It's just no run. It's just no ball.
It's just no ball. I like that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and definitely specific to cricket.
Yeah. It's just ball.
It's just shitting. Yeah, I was like,
Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.